Hey guys, how are we doing today?
Romeo!
Very good, very good.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome to one another.
It's always nice when it's a Romeo day.
Yes, it is.
Well, then
Every
then
day.
Is
A Romeo
Day.
I can't believe I just said that.
Well, guys, good to get together with you, and we'd like to take this opportunity to welcome back our viewers and listeners. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being with us week after week after week. Many of you are. If you haven't liked our podcasts in the past, hopefully this is the one that will cause you to press the like button.
Yeah.
And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is a friendly reminder to please do so. We would appreciate having an increase in our subscribers.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
And give us your comments, whether
yeah.
you agree or disagree.
with what we say.
Yeah.
And then we'll berate you online.
Yeah.
No, we wouldn't do that. we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't do that. So guys, one of the topics that was suggested for today's episode is for us to opine on whether the justice system is too harsh or too lenient.
Good question.
So if it's a good question, I can think of no one better than Dominic to get us started.
There you go.
The hot seat.
Thank you.
Well, I hate parole system.
The parole system you hate.
Yeah, I do.
It hasn't been kind to you?
Well, very kind to me. I've avoided it, so which is kind of surprising. But no, I think you commit a crime, you serve the time. There's no parole. That's the time. Serve the time. There shouldn't be any, good behavior.
No mitigating circumstances whatsoever.
No.
No rehabilitation.
Oh, he was a born-again Christian. He became a born-again Christian. I don't give a fuck.
So does that matter? So Dominic, does it matter if it's a violent crime versus a non-violent crime?
Look, it's the time. So if society has established what the penalty is for the crime you committed, serve the time.
What if the standards of the time that should be served changes while you're serving the time?
Then, okay, I agree. Then if the standard has changed, you should be,
Retroactive?
well, it's kind of hard retroactive, you know what I mean?
Well, meaning if it used to be 10 years and now it's 5 years and you've been in jail for 6 years, you should be let out?
Yeah.
Yeah, what about the fact that our jails are overflowing and we've packed, especially in some places, they've stacked their jails with people who have no business really being in jail. Is that an issue?
Yeah,
Based on?
add a couple of floors.
Built, okay, I had a couple of
Maybe a
floors.
basement.
Whatever, exactly. That only because they're full.
So keep building as many jails as you need, as much
Wow.
jail space as you need.
You know what? Criminals are criminals.
And somebody who's who's brought up for charges for minor possession of marijuana or minor possession of not trafficking of any
Well,
drug?
That's what Pat said. If the standard changes, now marijuana is legal.
No, not marijuana. But so anybody who's basically found guilty of any crime, there's no other option. Jail time. That's it.
Wow. Or else.
Well, what happens to society? It's interesting because there was this, I think it was the state of California, decided that they had a problem with the institutions not being able to accommodate the number of so-called criminals. And so they decided that certain crimes,
Right.
looting and so on, would just, you don't have to serve time. Guess what happened?
Yeah, they had a proposition in the last election.
And people voted overwhelmingly in favor
of absolutely criminalizing against some of those acts.
Of course.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So guys, can we maybe separate the violent and non-violent crimes? Because for me, there's a huge difference in a violent crime versus a non-violent crime.
When you say violent, just so we're clear, you mean physical harm?
Violence, so rape, armed assault, assault of any kind, anything that has to do with physical violence is one category of offenses, and then there's other categories of offenses.
But you know what? I agree with you, Naran. There is a difference. However, you're still going to encourage those non-violent crimes if people don't pay what they should be paying.
So okay,
So then it starts with a clear definition of what constitutes a crime.
well, first, when you break the law, to Dominic's point, it's a crime. But there's different laws, and there's different laws that are being broken. Again, I kind of put the physical or the laws that are broken that cause physical suffering to an individual in a separate state as to others that are more financial, for example. Now, you can argue that the financial ones hurt as many people or can hurt, but it's not physical. So when you have a violent criminal, it's much more, in my opinion, violence comes to certain people much easier than others. Okay? And if you have a tendency towards violence, it's very difficult for you to change that tendency. So in my opinion, when it comes to leniency, I would be far more lenient with crimes that are, white collar associated crimes rather than violent or crimes that are associated with violence.
Yeah. And another breakdown.
I'm not sure. So I think of an elderly person who's taken advantage of to the point where their financial resources are completely depleted because somebody committed a crime.
Good point.
Their life is ruined. Yeah. That elderly person's life is absolutely ruined. Yeah. The amount of pain and suffering they're going to endure, although not physical, is going to be considerable. Why should the criminal who inflicted that pain on that elderly person?
You know what? You changed my mind.
Okay.
Yeah, and the prime example of that is Bernie Madoff.
Because
you changed my mind. No, I get it because that is despicable.
But there's another breakdown.
Yeah.
There's another breakdown we have to consider.
Right.
What about youth? What about youth justice? Is that do you recognize that we need to have a different approach to justice when it comes to young people?
No.
No.
So
I'm going to say it depends. It depends. What is youth?
If it's violent crime,
minors. So in our country, 18 and younger.
If it's violent
so that
crime,
means it's not 18 and younger. It's younger than 18. So that means if you're 17 years old and you commit a violent crime, because you're a minor, you're going to get off much more easily than someone who's 6 to 9 to 12 months older than you are. I think that there are certain crimes that should be treated as severely, whether an adult or minor is involved in committing the crime, with certain guidelines in place, if you will.
No, a minor cannot be treated by the justice system
Why?
the same way as an adult.
No.
Why not?
It's not that it can't be. It's because we choose not to. Treat it
There's
So why not?
Because you're not. I mean, as a minor, if you're a teenager, you're
What's
not
the
fully
magical
developed.
thing about 18? What's the magical thing about turning 18?
Nothing.
You need you need to recognize that minors are still in a different state of development as people.
So are 18-year-olds. So are 19-year-olds.
We can debate about which line, but you agreed. But we agree at least there has to be a different consideration for minors.
No.
Okay, well
Because the minor
really off the track.
But the
here.
line that says that divides minors from adults is arbitrary. You just agreed to that. So why are we saying that minors can't be treated as
because
adults?
a 17-year-old does not have the same mental capacity and the same development as an adult.
No, I think may not.
Yeah.
May not.
Actually, when you were
By the
17
way-
years old, you knew that killing somebody is not the right thing to do.
Oh, come on, Dominic. That's not a good example. When you're 17 or 16, you're impulsive. You do things differently with your life.
I was impulsive
gosh.
into my 20s.
You would have killed someone?
I would
All
have
I'm
killed
saying,
someone.
look,
But you didn't.
You cannot argue. We have, and that's one of the successes of our justice system. At least if I'm looking at where we are, where we live, youth justice works very well in terms of you look at the number, the level of recidivism among young people is very, very low.
Really?
Absolutely.
Okay, I haven't seen the stats, so I can't debate
Absolutely.
I'd be surprised if that was the case.
Yeah.
Well, that's
with you.
the
Yeah,
case.
so I think a 13-year-old who's capable of killing another human being should be subject to a psychiatric assessment
Absolutely.
that helps determine the intent, the makeup of that individual, and depending on the outcome of that evaluation, could be tried as an adult.
Except those.
So that's what we have. That's the system that we have. You do have the state has that option.
Except the psychiatrists are worse than the 13-year-old.
Well, maybe you have 3.
Yeah, I don't know.
3 independent assessments.
If at 13 years old you're killing somebody, you cannot be fixed.
Oh no,
know.
that's brutal.
I don't know.
That's really brutal.
What led that 13-year-old to commit murder?
Oh, jeez.
Well, man,
I know.
you say,
Pat.
geez, I don't know.
I know, Pat, but it's the resources to figure all that out is
The
not worth
13-year-old
it.
mind is not even fully developed.
Yeah,
Their
but-
judgment is not fully
Those
developed.
50-year-olds are not developed.
True.
There's some around this table.
80-year-olds.
That argument rings hollow with me. So if you're capable of committing a crime of that nature, I think the odds are that you should be tried accordingly.
Yeah.
Well, the state does have that option, but fortunately, in most instances, there's a juvenile justice system that kicks in.
Let's go back to the initial question. Do we feel that the justice system is too lenient or too harsh? And he talked about the parole system, and I do agree with what you said, Dominic, about if you have a certain amount of time that you've been given, if nothing has changed in society during the time that you're now serving your time, you should serve your goddamn time.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. We have now, I think, Paul Bernardo that's coming up for parole. If I read something.
Well, those two.
The two kids there, whatever.
Menendez brothers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but the bigger issue with the Bernardo convictions is that he's still imprisoned.
Yeah.
But his wife, who was an equal participant,
Carla Homolka, was it?
right,
Yeah.
has been free for years.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Years.
Yeah, and she was a participant, equal
Yeah,
participant.
one of the victims was her own sister.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so look, it's not just about punishment. Your perspective seems to be that you're just all out on punishment, and we know that from psychology and so forth, it's also about rehabilitation. The two go hand in hand.
Well,
to the degree that a person can be rehabilitated.
Absolutely.
And when we look at society and the number of repeat offenders, if we understand what leads a person to commit a crime, perhaps there's a good indication that they're unlikely to be rehabilitated.
And we have cases where those people are determined to be lifelong
Aki,
criminals.
To your point, maybe you can correct me, but I think poverty has something to do with criminality as well. And desperation to a point. So
it's an excuse.
Certain types of crimes, I think there are statistics to support that.
Exactly. Now if you're shoplifting food because your family is hungry.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And you get caught and you go to jail for that, or you get whatever, you go through the justice system for that. That's one thing. And again, I'm a bit right wing, but at a certain point, you have to also look at the societal pressures on people. If the person is now going and mugging people to get money so that he could, support his family, that's a different thing. That's a violent crime. This is where I kind of, make the separation of violent to non-violent crime. So the justice system has to figure out how to deal with things that are, in my opinion, less severe from a fault perspective. So you shouldn't give that person who shoplifted food for his family or her family the same kind of sentence or the same kind of punishment as someone who's going to mug someone to get money to do the same thing.
But this is where we get we're going down a slippery slope because we start applying our values and beliefs and ideals to situations where we have a broad society to deal with.
Yeah.
So, what constitutes something petty to you may be severe to someone else.
Yeah.
Now, there's a level of crime that we may all agree is severe, but at the lower levels, not sure what some people would be willing to forgive or overlook.
I grew up poor. You didn't have to steal food.
Oh my God! But that's you. You can't apply your standards right across the board.
Yeah, but
more complicated.
Says the individual who continuously tries.
And by the way, I just did on my side, and he's
that's
doing
beside
it
the point.
So he's doing exactly what I did.
Okay, but
so I get what you're saying, and I kind of agree as well. See, I'm kind of torn with this.
But
thing. So again, it all comes down to degrees. You say we grew up poor. Did you live in the streets? Or did you have a roof over your head?
Oh, we had a roof. But
okay.
Did you have gangs around you?
Did you have clothes to wear?
Yeah, fuck. I'm Italian. You had mafia all over.
No, but you had on the street.
That's a higher level.
Yeah, on the street.
Of organized crime.
Your neighbors, they were what? They were all committing crime? You were in a criminal environment, you would say?
No, of course not.
Okay, well, there's a difference. What about those people like in some of these cities that are really depressed and there's the young people and the only people around them are gang leaders and criminals?
It becomes a way of life.
Yeah.
It's negligible. It's nothing.
Again, that's the whole poverty cycle.
You also choose,
it's complex, right? I mean, none of these things are easy peasy kind of answers.
This is why you have a justice system.
You do, but again, we shouldn't be letting people out earlier than they should be getting
Why
out.
not? That's not up to us to decide. We have professionals that make those decisions.
Oh, professionals.
Yeah. Oh, okay, excuse me. Now you want to? Okay, we want to second guess judges. You want to second guess
No,
psychologists.
the judges are not being second guessed because the judges are the ones who put them in jail for the set amount of time. It's the parole officers and the parole system within the institution that's packed full of people that are sending people out before it's time.
But here's the thing.
In my
do we believe that some people can be rehabilitated?
Very few.
Yes.
Very few.
Yes.
I'm not going to quantify whether it's many or few, but do we believe
Yes.
some? Yes. Do those people
Yes?
not?
What do you
people-
think?
No, I can't. You don't even have to answer.
Move
Don't
on.
even bother answering.
Move on.
Do those people not have an opportunity to live the best possible life they can after having served a sentence of I make a distinction between someone who is deemed to have been rehabilitated while serving their time and someone who hasn't changed.
Okay, but you've served your time.
No, while serving your time.
Okay, so getting
So in
parole.
other words, say you have a 20-year sentence.
Yes.
For the sake of argument.
Okay.
And it's clear at year 10 that one person hasn't changed one bit. And another person, 100% consensus that this person is rehabilitated. They understand the severity of what they did. They understand the harm that was inflicted on society or other people.
Or they're smart enough to say that to the psychologist.
Exactly.
No,
I was
no.
about to say
Again,
that.
so again, a good psychiatrist and or psychologist can see through the spoken word.
You would hope.
Wow, come
You
on.
know what, Pat? It's easy. It's too easy to.
Their behavior is observed while the person is incarcerated for 10 years. Yeah, you're not going to fake it for 10 years, for goodness sake.
Exactly.
Pat,
Come on.
it's too hard to evaluate whether they're rehabilitated or not.
Well, my
while
point
they're
is,
inside.
well, you just agreed that some can be rehabilitated. I'm not saying let them go free from one day to the next. What I'm saying is, if there are people who are rehabilitated, then they should be reintegrated into society. I have no problem with that.
Okay, so fine. Yes. So you're saying that the parole system should be in effect, but perhaps we're saying that it should really be focused or not as freewheeling as just letting everyone go.
Well, I
because
haven't-
in Canada, you did 70% of your sentence, so now you should be able to get out.
Apply.
No,
Apply.
you shouldn't be
Apply for parole, and you might get refused.
you shouldn't be released just because you've served the minimum portion of the sentence required by law. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm saying is that if a person is deemed to have been rehabilitated, then yes, they deserve to be reintegrated into society.
Absolutely.
And initially, there may be some conditions tied to that release.
There has to be conditions.
But they should be reintegrated.
But do you think-
And I would make a distinction between the type of crimes. To me, there are some crimes that are so despicable, there should be no opportunity. I don't believe that person should be given a second chance.
So murder,
No.
there's no parole for murder.
No.
Okay.
No.
Like some of the violent crimes
Rape,
you were
murder.
referring to
Yeah, but
earlier.
murder also includes like things like manslaughter, which you recognize is a lesser crime
No.
than homicide.
I don't.
Well, premeditated homicide and manslaughter are not the same situation, right? We can
I
at
don't
least
think-
agree to
well, I
that.
know that in the law it is.
Yeah, but part of the issue, Aki, is that there are some charges that are lessened for the sake of increasing the likelihood of being successful when prosecuting someone.
Yeah, exactly.
It's easier to prove one than another. We don't necessarily have witnesses that
Premeditated versus not, and so on.
Well,
and
okay.
it becomes a negotiation. And
But
the
that's
defense
part of
lawyer-
the justice system. So you still have a somebody that you're worried about. You don't want to release.
Yeah, but
them.
someone
You find
died.
Yeah, I know, guys. But the prosecutor's job is to get a guilty verdict. So somebody who's dangerous will be put away. That's the prosecutor's job. So that means on a lesser charge, but the result is that person is off the streets. That's what you want.
You're making the point for
That's
them.
right, but that's what I'm saying. So that's just one example. This is why the system, you need to have professionals who have a chance to do their job and give them the good tools to do the job.
So you think that murderers should have parole?
I think it should be on the table. Absolutely.
So again, what is murder?
Yeah.
If somebody breaks into your home, threatens your family, in an act of defense, you murder that individual.
Exactly.
The intruder.
Yeah.
Is that murder?
no.
But you say no. You've
That's
murdered someone.
manslaughter.
That is
Actually, that's self-defense, and you probably won't get.
But you murdered someone,
So,
yes,
no,
but you won't be in jail for that.
you won't be in jail for that.
and we're okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
You should get a medal.
Of course. Of course.
I don't think that
You can put the guy's head on a pike and
I
put it in
don't
front of
think the judicial
put it in
system
front of your
awards
house.
medals.
No, but they should.
Yeah, but that's
No.
So
No, I
you
think-
won't be in jail for that. That's
No,
not
no,
defense.
no.
There's no jury that's going to put you in jail for killing someone.
Exactly.
That
Okay, but we're
broke into
clear.
your
But it's
house.
murder.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Okay, it's taking of a life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, by definition,
Yeah.
you're taking a life.
Yeah, but
So
you,
I'm just making the point. Not all murders are equal. Not all crimes are
for
equal.
sure.
Not all,
For sure. And again,
Every situation needs to be viewed, based
And there's
Not all rape is equal.
Right.
Oh no.
right. And there's a reason why we have a parole system. It didn't come
Well-
out of thin air. The parole
There's
system.
truth to that.
Yeah.
What?
So the parole.
I'm sorry. You know what? I'm sorry. Like I can't let that one go.
Which one?
What? Which
Yeah.
one?
So no means no. 100%. I'm in
Right.
agreement.
Okay.
However,
Okay.
a situation where a 4 or 5 year old little girl or boy
Okay.
is physically abused and raped by an adult,
Oh my God. Yeah.
right? Is to me should be punished in the most severe way imaginable.
Yeah. Kill.
oh, yeah.
That to me, you talk about murder. That to me may be worse than murder.
No, that's,
agree.
Yeah.
Because the victim has to live with that, from
Yeah.
their
Oh,
child
They're scarred. Their life.
for the entire life.
Their life has
Yeah,
been
okay.
damaged.
that's wood chip
Now,
repeat first.
and I'm going to repeat for our viewers, it's an opinion. Don't shoot the messenger.
Oh, I thought he was
but
going to.
No means no 100% of the time. I'm with you. However, let's now look at a situation where an adult woman or man places himself in a situation where everything is progressing sexually with a prospective partner, and literally at the last possible second, the person says no.
Okay.
No means no. It shouldn't happen, but it does because the
Okay.
other person has an urge that they can't control.
That's
They
still rape.
It's rape, and they should be punished.
Correct. Yeah.
But I do not look at those two situations as equal.
agree, but however,
That's just my
However-
view.
But the justice system and the judge and the jury should also take that into account
That's all I'm saying.
during the sentencing.
That's all. And both
One should be skinned alive.
both are crimes.
Yeah.
Well, one to me should
Yeah.
be punished
Skinned
to
alive.
the same degree as murder.
Yeah. It should- Well, exactly.
It's the most heinous crime I can think of.
Totally agree.
Well, exactly.
So both are wrong.
Oh yeah.
Both should be prosecuted. Both should be sentenced.
But the
they're
sentencing can
not
be
equal
different.
in my view.
But that's exactly how the justice system works. It's exactly
How it should work.
But
And,
this is,
How it should
that's
work.
the job description.
Well, they used to have minimum sentences that they put into
Which
things.
I disagree with
Which
completely.
I don't know if they have that
you
anymore.
disagree with me? Yeah.
yeah. I disagree with minimum
Because the
No.
judge has to have the leeway.
Exactly.
Wait. Can we allow
Let him
Dominic?
finish. Let him
no,
finish.
No, I want Dominic to expand on WOW because WOW only begins.
To disagree with minimum sentences.
Absolutely disagree with the minimum sentences. It's up to the judge. The judge and the court has to do its job. Listen to all the evidence.
There should be
listen to the
guidelines.
trial.
So there should be guidelines.
Yes.
So the guidelines are there. But I mean, the judge has leeway. To Pat's point.
Look, we've come to the conclusion the judges, they're there, they're appointed, whatever. Forget it. No, there should be, a judge should not be allowed to have that kind of latitude. Society should establish what minimums are, and those are it. That's it.
Okay, well, then the minimum should have a wide enough, leeway for it to take into consideration all the potential decisions that can come in front of them. So, yeah, you can have both.
I mean, imagine like a brutal rape. And then, the guy was on cocaine. It wasn't his fault. The judge takes that into consideration.
Well, yeah.
Come on. Really?
Yeah.
No.
I don't know the circumstances.
No,
I don't know the
Oh, come
circumstances.
on.
No.
I don't know the
Christ.
circumstances. Every
No, come on.
situation is different. This is why you have courts. What are you talking about? That's the whole purpose of independent courts and independent
He said
justice.
brutal rape.
Brutal rape. Okay, I
I
don't know.
stop at brutal rape.
Of course, your first. But justice isn't just about your knee-jerk
for
reaction.
Me, I would kill the fucker.
Wait.
Okay, but your justice is not about
Wait.
knee-jerk reaction.
Acid test. Do you feel the same way if your daughter's involved?
That's not a fair.
That is a very fair question.
100% fair.
I'm not saying. Of
You're
course,
victim blaming.
There is our reaction, our gut reaction, absolutely.
Yeah,
but then we need to have justice, kick in and do its job.
Well, I think justice is if the father of that girl is the one who decides what happens to the guy. That's justice.
I like that.
Well,
That's justice.
there's victim statements
maybe
now.
not.
There's victim statements now, which are very much the norm in these cases that are weighed in.
Guys, capital punishment. I know this was not
Totally opposed.
So this was not part of the topic, but for me, capital punishment,
part of the
100%. 100%.
100% what?
For murder and rape.
Of course. How many innocent people, how many reports of innocent people do we have to come across before we decide maybe there's an issue with capital punishment?
The issue is not with capital punishment. Here's what I'm going to say. So it's interesting because this is one where as much as there's a part of me that wants to agree with you, so long as we're incapable of having fair trials where we can determine with 100%.
But you can these days
accuracy.
with
No,
DNA.
you cannot.
You have DNA testing now
There are people today who continue to be incarcerated for crimes they haven't committed.
Yes. However, those were mostly in times that didn't have the technological advances that we have today.
Portion.
Okay. As a society, there's going to be mistakes made. So you have to ask yourself, for the greater good, do you basically, unfortunately, a few people get offed who shouldn't be, yes, but from a percentage perspective, if it's small enough, a society has to be able to say, well, shit, yeah, we're screwing up every once in a while. We screw up everywhere else in society. Exactly. In this one place, if you screw up a little bit, fine. But the majority of the people you're killing are people who don't deserve to be on this earth because they've killed other people.
Who are you to play God?
Who am I to play God?
Yeah, you don't have that role. You don't have that.
Who
that
says
authority.
I believe in God?
The state does not have the authority to take life away.
Why
period.
not?
Because
no.
Neither did that person.
In your opinion,
In
my opinion, that's correct.
You know what? In the old days, it was an eye for an eye.
Oh no, not in the old days. There are countries and cultures where that's still very true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, because we raised
we're
the
talking
question
about North America.
Right.
Well, even in North America, the standards are not the same.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Canada, U.S., Mexico don't have the same laws.
Especially when you talk about DNA now being the tool that really reduces mistakes.
Correct.
In theory,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So in places, especially in certain societies where you have the prosecutors who are elected, the judges who are elected, even more reason why not to have capital punishment.
Why?
A lot of times it's about political positioning. It's about scoring political points. That's not justice in many instances.
Actually, it goes further than that. You say political points. I think it's still very much in certain regions of the world about racism, about misogyny, about a whole bunch of things that
Guys,
I can't relate to.
We can't fix every problem with one broad brush.
For that reason, the only reason I oppose capital punishment is not because I'm a big believer in rehabilitation. Because I think it should be limited to certain crimes.
Yeah, exactly.
But until we can have 100% certainty, and I don't believe that DNA testing is the answer. For some crimes, yes, it's irrefutable. But there are other crimes where your DNA may be at the scene of a crime, but you didn't commit the crime.
Okay, but again, for most, you're not going to get a open and shut case 100% of the time. But there are times where a guy walks in to a mall and he's got an AK-47 and he shoots 47 people and they catch him.
Yeah,
they know who did it.
I understand, but in those situations, generally, those individuals are not caught alive.
Yes, but for the times that they are, I think that there's a very you basically kill them.
I don't think there's an attempt, and look, I'll use the recent example of there was an attempt on Trump's life in Pennsylvania during one of his campaign speeches.
Yes,
there was no attempt to capture the shooter.
Okay, but you're giving one example.
No, but he's on the spot. He's deemed to be guilty of a crime. And his life is taken away from him.
Well, no, it's because he was a danger to the police officers because he had a firearm in his hand.
Danger to everybody.
Hey, listen, when people have a cell phone in their hand, the cops shoot. I mean, the guy had a gun. Of course they're going to shoot.
Well, so my point is, a lot of those situations
Yeah.
are addressed at the scene of the crime.
But the ones that aren't, what are you going to do with those people?
I would also
kill those fuckers. That's what I'm saying.
I would also point out
I can't disagree
that the systems that use capital.
Thank you. Hang on. He just said something important.
The scenario you're depicting, I cannot disagree with.
So you agree with capital punishment?
I do not agree with
where it's 100% certain.
Correct.
Okay, I do not agree with capital punishment.
Even if it's 100% certain.
Even if it's 100%.
Why?
Put them away for life. Because it's not, as a society, as a civilized society, it's not a role.
We're not that civilized.
Aki, why are we paying $35,000 a year for the rest of his life? Hang on. Why am I, as a taxpayer, supporting this motherfucker who just killed somebody or raped somebody that we know who did it?
Because that is what a civilized society does.
I'm sorry. I don't agree with that.
Okay, well, that's fine.
I don't agree with it.
That's fine.
Why am I paying my taxes so that guy lives and he gets 3 square meals a day?
I explained it to you why. It's a principle.
Take a shower
it's a
with hot
principle
water.
of what we represent as a society, number one. Number two, the societies that do have capital punishment, you think they have lower crime rates? I'm sorry.
It's not about the crime rate. It's about justice.
I'm sorry.
It's about justice. I don't care about the crime rate. I am not talking about the crime rate. I'm talking about justice.
The fact is that the societies that have the most efficient justice systems are societies that do not have capital punishment.
I'm sorry. Do you have stats for that?
I can. I'll
bring them up and put them on the table.
I'll bring them out. You look at the UK. You want to compare the per capita crime level in the UK compared to the United States?
Well, it's not a gun issue. There's a whole other bunch of issues.
There are other factors. You're confusing. Come on.
Don't conflate things.
No.
Capital punishment absolutely serves no purpose other than revenge. That's what it is. And our justice system.
No, what it does
vengeance has nothing to do about justice. We've evolved from the days of the shepherds.
Aki, it takes bad people out of our society. We don't need those people. There's a certain percentage of human beings who are psychotic. There are a certain percentage of human beings who are wired for violence.
It's effective.
So hold on, guys. I just want to ask Aki a question. So you're out with friends having dinner. Somebody breaks into your home and commits a violent crime, leading to the loss of life of your spouse, your daughter. How do you think that person should be treated?
I will take matters in my own hands.
That's a crime.
So you're going to
you're all about justice.
I didn't say what I was going to do, but I will take matters in my own hands.
Don't be a hypocrite.
No,
don't be a
hypocrite. I'm not. Of course.
Of course. Then don't be a hypocrite.
What do you mean? I mean,
you want to see that person lose his life.
I'm being honest. And of course, we have how individuals react with things. This is why we have a justice system. It's to be a check on that. It's to be a check on vengeance.
So you're not going to let
a check on impulse.
You're not going to let the justice system do its thing because you're going to take that individual into your hands and you're going to squeeze the life out of him. That's what you're going to do.
I'm not going to answer what I'm going to do.
No, I know exactly.
But there's two things happening.
Because that would help you.
But that is not right. That is not right. This is not right. This is not right. We should have a justice system and we should respect the justice system and trust the justice system to carry out justice. That's it.
It would if they killed him.
Mob rule, is not an option. Individual actions and impulse is not an action.
But
Nobody's not civilized.
But you just said you're going to be part of the mob.
I didn't say being.
No, he acts solo.
Hey, listen.
A mob of one.
I've got a shovel in my trunk. Don't worry.
You have a big trunk too, eh?
I have access to back home.
Anyway,
3-4 in the back. No
So, guys, we haven't provided context in terms of, cultural or geographical influences on the harshness, severity, or leniency of the justice system. Right? We're talking about this in you said North America, and I would say maybe even more narrowly than North America, in terms of looking at how the justice system is applied in our own country.
Listen, nothing.
But in general, is and we may have a more limited understanding of how it works in other regions of the world and in other cultures. But would you say the same applies in terms of leniency or severity?
What are we comparing?
Well, an eye for an eye, right? You steal, you lose a hand or an arm. You
Saudi
rape,
Arabia.
You rape someone's daughter. Your daughter will be punished as a form of retaliation.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah.
Okay, so some of it strikes you as ridiculous, but there's reasoning behind it.
I know, but that's not a justice system. Okay, so
Well, it is. It's not one you may agree with.
No, but it's not a justice system in the accepted definition of a justice
Accepted
system.
by whom?
By international norms, international law.
International law.
You know, but you can't have a
Putin doesn't respect international law.
That's not a justice system.
you can't have a justice system that creates other victims.
yeah,
That's what it's doing.
That's excellent.
yeah.
That's
You know,
excellent.
so no.
So that's not a justice system.
So I would argue that every justice system creates other victims.
Not intentionally.
What, the perpetrator? You're talking about the perpetrator.
Not always.
Not intentionally.
Not always.
You're
What do you
talking
mean?
about
What do
the
you mean?
perpetrator.
No,
Give an example.
There are people who are falsely accused and found guilty of
Jesus.
crimes they haven't committed.
Okay, but Pat, those are the exceptions.
Pat, I mean,
Yeah.
that is-
Well, the
okay.
exceptions.
So fix that. If that's the
Okay.
problem, fix that.
All right.
So focus the fix on the problem. The problem isn't about leniency or harshness of the justice system. The problem is making sure you're finding the right person, the person who's at
The
fault.
guilty party.
The guilty party. So fix that and put resources.
But isn't
into
that a major problem with our system?
Well,
our
we don't
judicial
know
system
that.
today?
I don't know that as a fact. I don't know how many people are wrongly accused and wrongly incarcerated. Yeah, there are people that are, for sure.
Yeah.
What percentage of people are? I don't
Small.
know.
Very small.
But that's unacceptable.
Hang on. No, it's not unacceptable. It
is.
has to be acceptable because nothing is infallible.
Exactly.
This is why again.
Besides the Pope.
This is why we don't dare to go to the level of capital punishment for that reason, because it's an imperfect system and there's going to be mistakes. So that's a check.
We said
on our mistakes.
We said that for those crimes that are 100% sure, when you have videotape, when
confession.
or confessions,
Well,
or,
no, a confession is
but a
not
real,
always
but a real
confession
confession, not a one that it's not
coerced.
That's not
and-
coerced.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like there are black and white cases
Exactly.
where it's like, okay, this person committed this crime. It's done. We know, we have it on tape. It's irrefutable that it's done. In those circumstances, for those violent crimes, kill the guy. Because that individual has lost his right to be part of society. I said it before. There's a percentage of society that's psychotic. There's a percentage of society
Cannot
that's
be fixed.
schizophrenic. There's the percentage of society that has innate violence in them. That they have nothing stopping them from sticking a finger in your eye. Because it doesn't do anything.
So let's turn our focus to white collar, because we were spending a lot of time on violent crimes and so on. And,
So we all kind of agree, except for
so white collar crimes,
Except when it's his own daughter.
I think for the most part,
Damn right.
those are dealt with too much leniency.
Yeah.
There
big
are
time.
exceptions, but generally speaking, too lenient.
So there, I agree with you, because you changed my mind when you said what you said earlier, and I agree.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, too lenient.
Yeah,
Because, you
we
know-
have a recent example of a Canadian bank which has operations in the U.S.
Yeah.
There you go.
having participated in money laundering schemes.
Exactly.
And there's not a single executive who's been prosecuted.
Yeah.
Not
Well, the
one.
same thing. Well, the same thing with the finance.
The bank has been hit with a huge fine.
Right.
Yeah.
And the stock price went down.
Is it just economic?
They hurt my stock price. What the
Wait, and there's also the example of the financial meltdown of 2008. People were negligent. People were irresponsible. What were the consequences for a lot of
Collateralized
those
loan
brokerage,
obligations.
elites?
It's because there's no blood. There's no death.
But
to Pat's point, you're destroying
you
lives.
destroy people's
I
lives. Good
totally
people
agree.
who worked hard their whole lives
Totally agree.
and played by the rules, and they trusted you, and you're certified.
So I think we all agree, holy shit, that white collar crimes are far too lenient.
Yes.
Yes.
And the
Double standard.
prosecution and the severity of the sentences should be augmented significantly for white collar crimes.
So I would agree with that. In the same way as I would
agree.
say for what I would consider to be petty crimes, the sentencing is sometimes too severe.
Well, when you say petty crimes, are you talking about, let's say, for example, simple marijuana possession, for example?
For personal use drug possession.
Right. So again, I would
Not someone who's in the street,
that has
right?
changed.
Trying to sell to young kids and
That has
gang
changed.
related.
Aren't you allowing your perspective now? Because you say that a lot to people, aren't you now?
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Aren't you using your personal belief system now to kind of
my
dictate.
opinion, that's exactly what we're here to discuss, our opinions.
Yeah, but you
there's
kind of call everyone else out on that, so I have to call you out.
No,
on
but
that. Sorry.
Well, of course, the subjectivity.
I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying it might.
No, I'm the one
No,
who
you
says I'm
believe you're right.
No, I believe I'm right. I believe I'm right.
But those petty crimes, the laws have changed. Possession, simple possession is not, you don't get arrested anymore. So
Yeah.
Well,
It depends. It depends.
Well, society
where.
it
caught
depends
up.
where.
It depends where.
The problem
But
is,
society caught up.
To some extent,
Yeah.
but it hasn't corrected its wrongs. So
It has,
Still,
it has.
You still have people. No, you still have a large number of people, for instance, in the States, who are serving excessive sentences
Right.
for possessing a dime bag of pot.
Yeah.
No, they went
That's
back and they let a whole bunch of people out.
Yeah.
They haven't let them all out.
yeah.
Well,
There's still a lot of people, and I think I don't know for sure, but I have reason to believe that the further south you go, the more of those people
but-
remain
Yeah,
incarcerated.
but a lot of those people, because they've got something else on their CV.
Don't know.
So
Don't know. It could be a
No.
litany of repeat offenders.
No.
Got
And
caught
it-
with a dime bag. Got caught with another dime
the
bag
problem-
and another.
the
Yeah.
problem-
It's like, give me a break.
And it's also the political pressure. The political pressure. The prosecutor is supposed to be tough. It's
They
exactly
should be.
it's exactly what you're saying. We want a punishment. We're not interested in niceties
Well, look,
and mitigating conditions. All of that, we throw it away. We just have to be tough.
look what happened in California. We spoke about that before. Now, $800. Just if you shoplift less than $800, they don't prosecute.
That's changing.
Yeah, I know it is.
so basically,
should.
you shop for shoes that are $7.99.
Well,
99.
I mean,
Actually, they're going back.
They're going back.
well,
Yeah, they just voted on this.
Yes.
Okay, well,
yes.
good. It's
yes.
about time.
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was.
Well, they turned San Francisco into
Well,
a
Well,
shithole.
free for all.
yeah, the mayor also got ousted in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I'm going there in a couple of weeks. Hopefully,
There you go.
I don't think it'll change that quickly.
No. Honestly, like
Bring a calculator.
it's no, but
Pricey, huh?
just walking at night. I used to go to. It's been years. I used to go to San Francisco, and I used to feel fine, safe, whatever.
Not
At night,
anymore.
oh my God, I don't feel safe. I can imagine women walking alone at night in parts.
Oh, so when you walk alone, it's not in drag.
No, usually not.
Okay.
Okay. So those pictures were photoshopped.
Correct.
Got it.
Oh, remind me to show you a picture later. Anyway, sorry guys. So
So can we talk about a specific case like the Menendez brothers?
Go for it.
Yeah. So they're like now the district attorney decided that
Have they made a decision?
it was announced, so they're gonna resentence them.
Yes, they're going to resentence them, but the
So-
resentencing hasn't happened
because
yet.
they were innocent, right?
Wow.
No.
That's okay. There's a story there.
Of course there is.
They're gonna resentence them, so they're gonna be applicable or eligible to parole.
They did not listen to the evidence of abuse, which is a major part of the case.
I think it was made up.
Whoa. Okay.
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 And I'll prove it
Okay.
to you.
Okay. Oh, you have the proof.
Well, I mean, logically, the father was doing the abuse.
Yeah.
Okay. But they reloaded, then blew the brains out of their mother.
Well, yeah, because
She was
an accomplice.
She was complicit.
She was complicit.
That's what they're saying.
By the way, one of the brothers abused the other too.
Really?
And
Yes.
And
In jail?
and
No,
they robbed
at home.
homes of their rich friends.
Before.
Yeah, before.
Yeah.
Different crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, but look, one of them was 21 years old.
So,
Yeah.
so you completely disregard the abuse. You don't believe that's true.
I think it was made up.
So how do you explain that the brother's family, their own uncles, their own aunts, believe them and support them, and they're asking for them to be
Well, they
resentenced or
believe them,
released? That's the guy's family.
For the same reason, many family members don't want
Yeah.
to see
They
their
asked
young
people to
incarcerated for
lie,
life.
for them.
And I anyway.
Okay, so fact of the matter is, sitting here many, many miles away, we don't know these people,
No.
right? We only know what's reported through media,
Yeah.
whatever
Fake news.
documentaries and biographies
Yeah.
you may have watched or read.
I have.
The concept that laws have changed to the point where these individuals who were found guilty of a very serious crime
Yes.
under the new laws may be subject to a lesser sentence than they are currently serving. Should they be eligible to have their case retried.
Well, in their case, nothing has changed. The laws have not changed, just that they feel because they've done so much good in jail, they've helped other people.
No, the laws have changed.
No, the laws have changed.
Have changed around the admission of abuse.
The laws changed during the period for which they were incarcerated,
So
is my understanding.
For sexual exploitation.
And therefore,
for
sexual abuse, yeah.
therefore, the crime they committed would be looked at through a slightly different lens than it was at the time of their sentencing.
Obviously, they were sentenced, so the sexual abuse, they didn't believe it. So
No, at the time, again, based on my understanding, at the time, whether they were sexually abused or not would have weighed in the consideration, but the crime they committed is what, ultimately what decided the length of their sentence.
what pisses me
So the only question, and look, we don't know if retried, the outcome is going to be the same or different.
It's not a new trial, it's sentencing, right?
The only question is whether or not the crime should be looked at under a different lens
We said that
than it originally was.
Because earlier on, we said that if laws change when someone's
I guess in
incarcerated,
that case, you know what pisses me off? Is that these guys are going to come out.
They may not.
they're going to write
Wow.
a book.
No, there's already a trust fund waiting for them.
Oh, okay. There you
Okay,
go.
plus books, movies, everything.
Yeah.
So by committing a crime,
How old are they now?
50,
They're over 30 years in prison?
20-some years in prison.
Yeah.
So they're like 49 and 51.
Well, listen, they don't have any more parents to kill, so they should be okay.
Well,
Who else are they going to kill?
I don't know.
So I look at that situation, and based on my limited knowledge and understanding, I would say, given what I do understand, let them be resentenced.
Yeah.
And whatever the outcome is the outcome.
Yeah, I
Correct.
feel
If
the
it's
same
deemed
way.
that they've served an appropriate, period of appropriate sentence based on the facts that are before the courts, then so be it. If it's deemed that they should remain incarcerated, so be it.
Meh. It's a meh.
Yeah,
I don't.
exactly.
This thing has become too sensational
Yeah.
to my
I
taste.
don't know
anyway.
why people are talking about it. It's like, who gives a shit?
There you go.
Well, it just gives you an indication
Right.
of what,
People are fascinated by this stuff.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Yeah, but another example of where capital punishment would have been great, right? You would have executed these two, and
No,
then
I wouldn't, because I told you before, only in cases where it's 100% certain.
that they were. It's 100% certain that they murdered.
Yeah, but there was
their parents.
mitigating
But there was
circumstances.
also
Okay.
there was also evidence suggesting that they had been abused,
exactly.
which
so,
led to the murder.
Oh, okay.
Of the
So then in that
parents.
case,
well,
you
if
would not
there's
apply capital punishment.
Again,
But okay, all right.
mitigating circumstances. You have to. You can't just do broad brush, and because everything is different.
We agree.
Every
Up
case
to
is
there,
different.
we are in complete
But at a
agreement.
certain point, if
Yes.
if
So
there
your
was no-
view is obviously different, Dominic.
Of course, because I think in that case, right afterwards, they went on a shopping spree. It was all premeditated. They did it, They did buying Rolexes, buying cars.
Okay. Oh yeah.
so maybe they should have been off. Who knows? I don't know the details, right?
Well,
so it all depends on the circumstance.
Yeah, I know.
At
but,
the time.
I think whatever evidence there is gets weighed in making a decision.
Let-
Whatever the decision is.
Exactly. Let the system do its job.
Yeah.
Exactly.
anyways, well,
Yeah. I think there's no debate they committed a serious crime. But they were also victims.
not sure.
Okay.
Well,
It's easy to say once the person that did the abuse is dead.
yeah, here's the danger with that. It's like the 4-year-old who tells his or her parents, Uncle Jack is abusing me, and they slap the kid and say, "How dare you, Uncle Jack?" And you know what? It's true.
No,
It's true.
Yeah.
agree.
Which is
Agree. But
I know of a situation where it's a guy who used to work for my dad, right? And they had a daughter who, at the age of 4, started complaining to her parents about the fact that the father's best friend was taking liberties with her. And they refused to believe their 4-year-old daughter until several years later, they discovered it was true.
idiotic parents.
Well,
and this is a little bit of what the
I
Menendez
don't
case
think that
built
story
on.
is so exceptional.
I know.
And this is what the Menendez case is built on in a way.
It's like kids who were abused by priests and Wash your mouth out with soap. How dare you accuse?
Look, Pat, one of the brothers was 21 years old. Come on. You're an adult. You know, you're being abused.
You know, so we think of hockey players as being tough guys.
Yeah, I know what
tough
example
guys.
you're going to give me.
Okay? And you have hockey players at the age where they're playing junior hockey or old enough to play in the NHL who are abused by people who they've developed, you know, trusting relationships with, coaches, mentors, whatever.
Yep.
And you look at these strapping like 6'2", 200, 210-pound kids, young adults, and you say to yourself, there's no frickin' way. How the hell can a, you know, young man with that physical stature get abused by a coach who physically couldn't possibly dominate him? But it happens.
I know.
It happens. And so I have no doubt where a parent-child relationship is concerned, that you can have a young man or woman in their 20s or even 30s who are being abused by their parents.
That's a huge step to killing your parents.
Well,
I don't disagree with you that it's a huge step, but I don't know what they endured. I can't relate.
yeah. I mean, if that was the case, well, you got to give them a
I think it was made up. And
But if it wasn't, hang on. So let's just say it wasn't.
Yeah.
So for sure it wasn't. If it wasn't, would you still feel the same way?
Yeah, because it doesn't justify killing two people the way they did.
So if the father is buggering the two boys all their lives and continues to do it.
No, let me ask him the acid test question. So Dominic,
Yeah.
you find out that someone abused your daughter or daughters,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Do you think you're justified in taking that person's life?
Big time.
Okay, what's the difference? They took matters in their own hands.
Oh, wait a second. It's not a direct thing here. It's not like a family thing. It's somebody from outside.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. So if the person who abused your daughters
Is an uncle.
is an uncle
Yeah.
or an aunt, you feel differently about it?
The one who did the abuse?
Yeah.
Well, it's still an outsider. It's not.
No, it's family.
family.
Somebody
Well,
friends. I know
it's-
what you mean. I know what you mean. I feel your anguish with this.
Yeah. You know, I mean.
Yeah,
You?
I'm sorry. To me, it's so freaking cut and dry.
No, but like.
Yeah.
Same here.
Okay.
So cut and dry.
So this is why we need to
I
have a
don't care
strong
who you are.
justice system.
If I'd found out, right, if ever I
Take
suspected
matters in our own hands.
that
Kill somebody.
my in-laws or my parents did inappropriate things to my kids, I don't give a shit who they are. Like, you would have paid dearly for what you did.
Oh, of course. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
In
That's-
some respects, it's worse than a stranger.
Exactly.
But-
Because they're taking
Because in this
advantage
case,
of your.
in the case of those brothers, there's ample evidence that they made it up.
Okay.
Yeah, but I
Well,
said if they didn't.
I don't know
that's
how
why.
ample the evidence is
That's
if
right.
it's still
If they
being
did,
discussed.
we become mini Menendezes. This is his point.
Well,
So, guys,
On that very happy note,
so what do we think?
is our justice system.
It depends. Is it too lean or too harsh? It depends.
I think the
I
parole.
mean, to your point, every situation needs to be looked at specifically
Yeah.
and dealt with appropriately. And in some cases,
I think
the outcomes are too lenient. In other cases, too harsh.
I think it's more on the side of too lenient than too harsh a lot of times.
yeah.
And we talked about white collar crime being too lenient. We talked about
Petty crimes.
petty crimes sometimes being maybe too harsh on some of them. You're right. But when it comes to violent crimes, anything to do with violent crimes, I think we need to be very harsh, and we need to I kind of agree with capital punishment for those crimes that are 100% or as close to 100% as you can get in terms of certainty.
So that means you feel we're too lenient in those situations.
Correct.
Agree.
Okay, so I think that our justice system is doing the job, getting the job done. It's essential that we have an independent, non-political justice system, because in some places, notably in the United States, where you have politics involved, that skews justice. Justice is not being rendered. I'm convinced of that. And having said all that, I reserve the right to take matters in my own hands when it comes to my own family.
Amen.
No consistency whatsoever. Such
V for
hypocrisy.
vendetta.
Such hypocrisy. So, to our audience, whether you're a victim or a criminal or neither, we'd love to get you to weigh in, provide comments, feedback. Please let us know what you think. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.